Thank you very much. Let me begin from the beginning. This is an amazing conference we have here, and I'd like to thank everyone who's made time to come. This is what Yaoundé expects us not to do. Hello, Yaoundé. It's happening. We are not coming back. Now, since I'm speaking after SCACUF, and they just mentioned a moment ago that they were our treasury, I will start with treasury issues. I'm here on behalf of MoRISC. We have to thank our godmother, the SCNC, for pulling us together and all the other organizations that came together to make sure that MoRISC was born. We were born of a hunger and a thirst to go to Boya, and to go to Boya on our terms, on our timetable. And so, we dared to put a timetable together. And we shared that timetable at the end of last year with our people on a roadmap. But we shared it with the generosity that it does not belong to us. It belongs to our people. And we thought that you would need money to pull it together because we were born of the organizations that already existed. Our mission was support the organizations that exist. And that is why MoRISC committed from the very beginning and commits today and will commit tomorrow. We are not one of those political parties that will operate in a freed Southern Cameroon. We will disband upon restoration of independence. We seek no positions. We are here to support, we are here to help. And speaking of help, in money terms, MoRISC has put into the organizations, existing organizations, as of this day, $43,750. You can detail it. It has supported diplomatic efforts by an organization, a leading organization led by Fongojidinka. It has supported efforts by SCACUF. At the second conclave, we disbursed $5,500 to support the setting up of the secretariat, support to refugees in Nigeria, our people who are there now. We've provided support to the SCNC, we've provided support to SCYL, we've provided support to the AGC. We've supported people, bills, taking care of people going, our heroes who were dead, helping to provide the state funerals that we've given all of them. And we're very proud of that part of our work. We're also very proud that in a free Southern Cameroon, you're going to have to deal with people who don't agree all the time and who have a loud mouth like myself and who will speak up all the time without fear. Because a free Southern Cameroon will be one in which we are going to have to listen and hear all sides, all opinion. We are going to be not united as in one ideology, a one-party thing that Ahidjo introduced to us that we must banish from our land forever. But we're going to be united in the purpose that we seek, in the objective that we want to achieve. And so we're united around independence. But how we get there, there are going to be different ways, different approaches, and different campaigns. And I'm here at this summit to campaign on behalf of a particular route, the roadmap that we suggested to our people, the roadmap that SCACUF adopted at the second conclave in Lagos, and under which, under paragraph 1 of our final communique, we communicated and we committed to you that we were going to put together an interim government in the month of May 2017. We let that deadline slip. But it is important that we remember what La République is registering as we let deadlines slip. Will 1st October slip? That's the question they'll be asking themselves. And we have to get serious if we want to get to Boya at a specific date. The reason we put up that date is to tell the international community we are not dependent on you you are going to have to catch up with the people of Southern Cameroon, because we are not taking sovereignty from anyone. We have it to ourselves already, and we are going to make sure that we get there. And that is why MoRISC will continue, and that's why we're here at this conference. We will continue to argue very strongly for us to elect an interim prime minister, and elect that interim prime minister as soon as possible. We have proposed, in the absence of a constitution, a pledge that we ask that all candidates for the position of prime minister take, and that they run understanding that that is binding on them with the same force that a constitution will have. That pledge we have shared, that pledge you can consult, and I believe that it is one of the things that we need to push forward. Now, when we were preparing and hoping that we could elect a prime minister, we did not believe that we will be able to pull together a system that will allow our people to be the ones giving power to our leaders. We were working initially to put together an indirect vote. But thanks to technology and thanks to the hard work of our technical experts, we today have a system that can allow all Southern Cameroonians at home and abroad to vote for an interim candidate. So we are saying, let us do this. No other country is Southern Cameroon, and no other country will do this the way we are doing it. We had the pastor tell us this morning, they will come and learn from us what we did, because we will set the pace for how this stuff is done.
That's right.
We will not use arms, we will not, because we've got that force of argument on our side, and we will use it to the fullest. And we've got the minds to do so, and the lawyers to argue the cases. And so we will continue to worry when we turn to others who have been to the same schools as our brothers, who can argue cases perhaps less skillfully than our brothers, and say to them, thank God you're here, otherwise we will stay in slavery. Because I think we've got in Southern Cameroon the minds, the brilliance, the excellence to be able to argue these cases. Professor Anyangwe is here. He argued the case that Dr. Ngumne won on behalf of our people at the court in Banjul. I don't remember Polyhoff making a case there, and I don't want to discourage anyone, but I'm saying when you have a colonial mentality, you need to banish it from your mind if you want independence. We've got to do this by ourselves. The world should join and support us, but we cannot surrender our fight to anyone else. Obviously, we've heard the arguments against a government. We need first that a country should be willing to recognize us. A country does not recognize something that does not exist. They don't issue a birth certificate to a child that is not yet born. You don't get a marriage certificate until you've been before a mayor and you've been married. And so don't ask a government to recognize something that does not exist. We are going to first have to exist before we ask the world to recognize us. People have said we need to occupy land on the territory. We need to be present before we can declare a restoration of independence and before we can indeed be free. That is not true. There are countries today in the world that have fully occupied their territory, or people aspiring to become a country. Somaliland, they totally control their territory. They are not recognized by anyone. There was a northern part of Mali that called itself the Republic of Azawad, mostly the Tuaregs of the north of Mali. They liberated territory that was the size of France, and they held it for a long time. No one recognized them. That territory has been lost largely. Even today, the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic has liberated territory. They are losing part of it. And also they are losing part of their recognition. Countries are freezing recognition or they are withdrawing it. And so we should be aware that wherever we are going to fight our own struggle. It is not going to be other people's struggle. We have to be bold enough to find a way that no one else has used, because no one else was called Southern Cameroons until we showed up. And why is our case super solid? Because what we have said is very clear. We don't seek independence. We have it. On the 21st of April 1961, the United Nations adopted Resolution 1608. It said you are independent. They were recognizing the vote by our parents on the 11th of February 1961. That vote was 64 yes, 23 no, 10 abstentions. Now I want to ask the world, how different is that vote from the vote on Resolution 181, creating the State of Israel? There were 23 yes votes, 13 no votes, and 10 abstentions. How can Israel get independence from that same resolution and we can't get it? The world cannot justify that. And we cannot let the world get away with a crime that big. So it is our duty, it is our imperative duty to make sure that everyone in the world will hear our voice, that everyone in the world will know that we will not accept annexation, military occupation by La République du Cameroun. Yes, they have done it for 56 years, but enough is enough. We say very clearly, Nigeria tried it for 44 years. A combined 100 years should be enough for everyone to know a people who refuse to be colonized will be free. And so my people, we will either live in a boya, freed by our own hands, or we will die trying to do that if we must. Now, it's not going to be easy. We face not only La République. La République du Cameroun is wearing the mask of France. Let us call the devil by its name. La République du Cameroun is wearing a mask. And we know how the French have dealt with colonial people before. I'll take only a few examples. In Algeria, the French put in 450,000 troops to hold on to that country. And by the end of the war, they had killed 1 million people. They couldn't care less. In Madagascar, they put in 30,000 troops. And in a little short while, they killed 89,000 people. We know what they did in Cameroon from 1955 to 1972. They don't want to admit it, but we are glad that they now have a president who recognizes that they have committed crimes against humanity. It is not enough to admit, Mr. President, it is time to do right by the people of the world. It is time to do right by the people of Southern Cameroon. It is time for France to recognize the evil it is doing to the peoples of Africa. Anywhere where people agitated for independence, the French told them, you don't deserve it. That's what they did to Guinea. Because when the French packed up to leave Guinea, they destroyed everything that looked like anything, including poisoning food, including killing animals on the farm. This is not how you treat our people. And our people want sufficient dignity to be able to live a free life and to thrive without having to submit to the barbarians that they want to continue to govern us. There are still many of our people, and they ask us to accommodate them, who still think that a federation is the way to go, who argue that the 1996 Constitution, providing some dispensation called decentralization, will lead to some form of autonomy. It will not. La République du Cameroun has proven to the world from 1961 they don't respect any law. They don't respect resolutions from the United Nations. They don't respect international law. They don't respect their own laws. This is the only government perhaps in the world that is a little worse than ISIS and Boko Haram put together. And so we cannot trust, we cannot tell our people that you will be well if they give you autonomy. And I take exception to the speaker in the morning, Mr. Jackson, who said we were returning to the situation of 1961. No, we want nothing of it. We want nothing of 1961 because there are no guarantees to anything that you do with La République. And autocratic governments around the world have shown themselves just the same as La République. In 1952, the government of Britain granted autonomy to Eritrea, and Eritrea was fine, doing just fine, until the emperor of Ethiopia decided, I am revoking your autonomy and I'm making you the 14th province of Ethiopia. And then the country went down the road to hell, 30 years of war and border war, resulting in the creation of the state of Eritrea. They did not have to go there. In 1989, Slobodan Milosevic revoked the autonomy of Kosovo, and for 10 years he put the people through wild repression. And it took the NATO war of 1999 to break the evil arm of Slobodan Milosevic over the people. Now, that made it possible finally for the people of Kosovo to know peace. Now we know, obviously, that we live in the United States. They have done well for themselves because they did what we are about to do. In 1776, they said, we will take our independence. And they did. They were ready to fight for it, and we are. But around the world, they have pulled support at very bad times from countries that desperately needed independence. The President of the United States was in Jakarta. He was just leaving Jakarta when the government of Indonesia decided that they were taking over East Timor. The United States did nothing. In fact, they provided financial and military support to the government of Indonesia, even as they crushed the people of East Timor. They are now providing financial and military support to the government of Cameroon in the name of fighting counter-terrorism. They are supporting a government that is terrorizing our people. They need to stop support to the government of Cameroon. We recognize the importance of doing counter-terrorism, but a free government of Southern Cameroon will do a better job than people who, every time you suspect something, every time evil happens, even when you think and you're holding your head in disbelief, could this be suicide? You find out, oh, it looks like they assassinated somebody. They are just doing it all the time. And please don't provide support to that kind of government. We are glad, of course, that the United States government then supported East Timor in 1999 when they moved towards the need for that independence. And they were able to achieve it in May of 2002. We are delighted, of course, that they did what they did for South Sudan, because had this country not done what they did for South Sudan, they would not have obtained independence. And so it's our turn now, America, Time for you to deliver for the people of Southern Cameroon. If you believe in justice, if you believe that every people are free to pursue happiness, it's our turn. And so, I will say something else with respect to what my brother Milan Adam presented with respect to the workings of SCACUF. I think we should be very worried when one of our organizations acts like the government. We need a government. We don't need one of our organizations to transform into the government. If they want to run for government, they should run for government. I believe that strongly in my heart. And we need that vote because Principle 7 and Principle 8 of Resolution 1541 of 15 December 1960 says we can separate if it is the will of the people of Southern Cameroon. And so, my people, let's go and find the will of our people. Let us ask them to tell us that they want to break away. Because we know they will. When we ran our survey for nominations leading up to who could be Prime Minister, we found out 297 people participated in nominations. We asked them also to tell us, are you for status quo? Are you for a two-state federation? Are you for independence? We got 1% for status quo. We got 2% for two-state federation, and we got 97% for independence. One other thing is, when we are done with this election, we will have a database that we can turn over to the world. We will be inviting people to come and audit. The reason I speak about it so boldly is because when we started off in December and announced this and set our determination to try and get our people to vote, we also set our people to work. And we have a product now that we can use, and I urge my people to use it. It doesn't just have to be MoRISC doing it. We want to do it with our people, and we heard it loud and clear. They want us to do it with our people. But we've also heard loud and clear from our people, we want to do it like yesterday. Now, one last thing. SCACUF mentioned the work that was being done with respect to even the Constitution and other things. And one thing that we must remember is that there is a fourth committee of the General Assembly of the United Nations, which is specialized on decolonization. They provide support to countries when you obtain independence. For instance, in the case of South Sudan, the Comprehensive Peace Agreement laid out a possibility over a 5-year period for the people of South Sudan to do everything that is needed for them to get their independence. In the case of East Timor, from 1999 until 2002, they worked on that. And so, my people, if we want independence, if we want to be a country, we know that there is a trinity to country: territory, people, government. Let's put our government together and let's go get our country, my people.